Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Western Washington Amateur Television Society, group of amateur radio enthusiasts that get together for fast cam television for a net held on Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. To find out more about the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, please Google WW7ATS. That's Google WW7ATS. That will take you to our homepage on the internet. There you'll see the exact frequencies we transmit on and receive. A little background on the club. And also, you'll find a link that will take you to YouTube where we stream our nets held Wednesdays and Saturdays. Also, we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 for our voice transmissions. And note, you need to use a tone of 103.5 for this particular net. That's a tone of 103.5 for this particular net. This is Dave, KD7CYM. For the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. I'll pause in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact before our net gets fully underway. Again, this is Dave, KD7CYM. Hearing none, welcome to the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Signed in by video link already is Bob, K9PQ, Jim, N7QO, James, WU7N, and myself, Dave, KD7CYM. Is there anybody else who would like to sign in to the net this evening? What you see is what we got. Let's start off with Bob, K9PQ.
Well, good evening, everybody. Well, just a beautiful, beautiful day today. I got out a little bit and enjoyed the outdoors just a little bit. And man, I don't have a lot going on here. Not a lot to bring to the table tonight. At least I can think of right off the bat. So I think I'm just going to pass it along and see what other people have to say, and maybe that'll jog something with me. I'll send it back, K9PQ.
PQ, let's go to Covington to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO. Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. Well, I can't say that I have a whole lot going on either. I didn't really make it out of the house much today, just to get the mail, run out to the building next to me and get some stuff. I spent part of the day watching some stuff on television and some stuff on YouTube, and paying a couple of bills, so I'll have to make a trip out tomorrow to get them to the post office. Let's see, when I left the Mariners game, it's the bottom of the 8th, and it was 6-6, 6-5 Twins. So I don't know what's going on there now. But I figure I'll catch up on that on the 11 o'clock news tonight, so I didn't worry too much about it. Can't see it on the television where I am. Let's see. Looking forward to the warm weather. Right now I've got the heat on in my place here. The house is comfortable enough, but the shack, it's 67 degrees. It's not like I want to sit here in my Speedos and enjoy the warmth, because it's not that warm here. But back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
QO, let's go to James. WW7N in northeast Bellevue.
Good evening, everybody. I, of course, have a question for the group. I just met a neighbor, new neighbor, and I'm not sure, her name is French, but she was pronouncing it shalom, and that's almost like the Hebrew word for peace. And I was just looking up on the internet to see if that's a common name in both languages. It is, and I'm wondering if I got it correct or not. So if anybody knows how to correctly pronounce that in French, let me know. I'm going to have to do more research on that one. Joined us, so I guess we're up to 5 people. I'll go for as long as you guys want to go. Let's see, beautiful day today. I went out physical therapy and actually tried a Burger King coupon, see if they've recovered post-COVID, and they put out 2 tiny little hamburgers and 2 things of fries with a coupon for I think $6.40. About roughly, twice what it used to be for that with a coupon. But they were edible, whereas the last Dairy Queen hamburger I tried tasted like freezer-burned meat that was ground up with 50-50 cardboard and meat maybe, and the meat is not necessarily identifiable. Man, that was bad. But Burger King apparently is putting out a product that at least is edible. But for lunch, the differential between fast food and a real restaurant is less and less, so I'm wondering how that will change in coming years. What will occur with that? And I don't understand how the restaurants, if they're just taking a loss or a smaller margin, or how they're doing that. See how exciting my day was. I've taken care of a neighbor's cat who at least doesn't bolt and hide when I come into the house anymore, so I guess the cat's decided it's okay for me to feed and clean out the litter box. Then I can sit in the room with it and talk to it, and it just kind of looks at me like, okay. And then when I get up, I expect it just to say, hey, I charge hourly for that. So anyway, that's what I've been doing here, taking care of cats, taking walks in the neighborhood, and enjoying this great weather. Let's turn back to Dave, our net control, WU7N.
WU7N, this is Dave, KD7CYM in Lake City. Oh, let's see, I got 59 degrees outside and it's sunny. I had some errands to run today. I went to the post office and the grocery store, picked up some things, and did some yard work. Oh, my body doesn't like yard work. Also, I've got a bunch of wood left over from a fence I tore down, some cedar boards. I've got a fire pit, and I started burning some of that up today. And it was kind of nice having a fire outside and being about 6 feet from the fire outside. However, there was a lot of smoke. I think I'm like a smoked salmon tonight. Anyway, that was kind of an exciting experience to go through. But we got some warm weather coming up, and I might be able to get rid of all of this wood fence that I replaced probably within the next week if things go right with the weather. So that's about what's happening. This is Dave, KD7CYM. Let's see, we got Ron has signed on, KD7QKU. Welcome to the net, Ron, and you can take it away.
Okay, thanks, Dave. This is KD7QKU. When I started, I was running a little bit behind, and then when I went to get into Zoom, it said I needed an update to join this group, so I had to do an update. That taken a while. Oh, James, you need to probably mute your computer. There was a lot of feedback, but I had to turn my speaker down. Thank you. Jiminy Christmas, I haven't done too much. Last Saturday was Joanne's birthday, so we did 2 things. We had a memorial thing to attend for an old neighbor who passed away, and that was in Maple Valley, so we drove out to Maple Valley. Only knew he had two sons. I'd met both sons, and I knew one of them better than the other one. I'd only met the one once or twice, and the other one. But the one that was hosting it had a beautiful home in Maple Valley, and we had a good time. The people that were there were really nice. Gil always went to the, I don't know whether it was Starbucks or what it was, but he always went and had coffee in the morning with a group of people, and he invited me many times. I never did go, but there was quite a few of those people there, and they were really nice people. So it was kind of nice. We had a nice visit. Then we rushed out of there and then went to Joanne's sister's house for a birthday dinner and a birthday party for her. They had a sit-down dinner, and Mike and Stephanie were there. So we had a really nice visit there, and Joanne had a good time. She said she had a really nice birthday, so that was good. So then here I am, so that kind of brings us up to date. So I was kind of hoping Richard would with us tonight, but apparently he had some tests and didn't quite feel up to it. So anyway, back to net, KD7QKU.
QKU. Let's go to Bob, K9PQ in Bothell.
Well, hello again. So yes, I actually, James did give me something to talk about tonight, and that is fast food prices. Because I actually have an answer for you, James. I just read an article, a news article on fast food prices rising, higher than other restaurant prices, and they said the reason is labor cost. That, you know, one of the reasons, well, probably the reason they kept prices so low for so long was by using cheap labor, and there's no cheap labor out there anymore, and so, relatively speaking anyway. So their prices have come up, and yeah, they're not that far below a sort of a, I don't know, over-the-counter kind of a food place. The places I used to like to go for lunch that were, like a mom-and-pop kind of a place. And so yeah, that's where they are. That's what has brought them up, and until something happens, if something does happen with labor costs, that's not going to change. So I had a bit of a concern going into the net. The monitor, the display on my laptop is dark tonight, and I was worried that it was going to be dark coming out over YouTube, but it's not. Everything's normal. It's the problem. The good news for everybody else is the problem is only in the display of my laptop. That's the bad news for me. And Jim, I think we're all happy that it didn't get warm enough for you to be in Speedos. So we'll hold on to that for a while and try not to visualize that too much. All right, I'll send it back. K9PQ.
K9PQ. Let's go to Covington to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, Bob, I'm at least, even if I were, I'm not transmitting any video tonight, so your eyeballs are safe. Jim, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. I could not help you on that. I'm glad to hear that at least the stuff from Burger King is edible. I really have not been to fast food places in several years now, since they closed things down for the pandemic, actually. You mentioned about your cat. I would say that your cat actually demands compensation. I would bet that if you did not feed that kitty, it might take a bite out of you while you're asleep. That's I'd put some money on that. And Ron, yeah, memorial and birthday party. Happy birthday to Joanne. Let's see. Oh, yeah, fast food prices. Yeah, we had a Burger King in our neighborhood here. They always were a little bit substandard, but occasionally we would go there anyway. And I no joke, a couple times we've waited like 20 minutes for our fast food. Anyway, the place closed down, and it was subsequently, the whole building was subsequently torn down. And in its place, they put up a Chick-fil-A, which I'm not an aficionado of chicken, but the service is much better than the Burger King did. I used to go out with a group of people and have lunch frequently, but since the pandemic, honestly, most of the people have died, and so the couple of us that are remaining haven't really gotten together yet, in part due to the increase in prices, but sometimes it's just not quite as exciting if you only have like 4 people or something like that. It's just not quite the same as a dozen. So, I don't know. Yeah, with the cost of labor going up, that's going to help people, but it's going to hurt people. I hope it doesn't put the fast food places out of business. I think that would be a shame. It's been a staple of my life for several decades. It used to be my wife on her way home from work would call me and ask if I preferred cuisine from McDonald's or Burger King. So, that's no comment on my wife's cooking. It's just, faster and easier. So, and inexpensive as well. But one can no longer say that. So, I don't know. We'll have to see long term what happens. I'll keep my fingers crossed. Back to you, Dave, in 7QO.
And it's time to get an ID in here again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Let's go to James in Northeast Bellevue, WU7N.
Thank you, Dave. WU7N Northeast Bellevue. Well, Jim, just clarification. I'm taking care of someone else's cat, so I walk down the street and hop in to their house, so I don't have to worry about the cat expressing itself in the middle of the night, or even at 4 a.m. in the morning when it decides it wants to eat. I had a cat. Actually, it was a cat that got to know me quite well when I rented a room from someone years ago, and then that lady couldn't keep the cat anymore, so I adopted it and took it into my home. Lived a long, long life. Nobody knows how old that cat was when it finally passed away, but definitely it was definitely, if it had Social Security, it would have definitely come out way ahead on that, because it was very, very old. She was a really nice cat to have around. But towards the end, of course, she pretty much just slept, and at first I built a little step so she'd get up to her perch and sleep on that, and then finally I built curtains around a chair and put her bed under that, and she seemed to like that, because it was kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's like the urban equivalent of hiding under a bush or something, which sometimes outdoor cats will do that when they get really old. They just like to hang out under a bush or in some hidey place. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that your Burger King shut down out there, because I think we had a Burger King shut down here in Bellevue and it wasn't a lack of traffic. I mean, certainly right there, that northern part of Bellevue, right around Microsoft. My goodness, I mean, if you couldn't make a fast food place there work, you couldn't make one work anywhere. Those are kids that are short on time and have, as one friend of mine put it, lots and lots of dollars but very little sense. You know, they don't believe in cooking. I mean, they always are eating out. Breakfast is just a leftover pizza or the leftover Chinese food from last night. So that was kind of a surprise to me. I don't know what the full story of that was, but it closed, I think, at the end of COVID, or maybe it was the middle of COVID, and that really did surprise me because there was always people in there. I never went there any time when there wasn't people in there. Reminder for next month, I think I may have mentioned this to this group already, but we got 3 things happening pretty much all within almost a week of each other, and so whatever amateur radio group you're in, spread the word, because I think this is going to sneak up and bite some people. The 22nd and 23rd is Field Day, and then the next week, the 29th, is a fifth Saturday drill for the state of Washington, and then July 4th falls on the following Thursday after that, and that's 3 for a lot of ham groups. Those are 3 big events all occurring in a short period of time. And I was going to write an email to my leadership team to say we might want to prioritize and decide who's going to be on first, because I think that's a lot to ask of volunteers, especially just in such a short period of time. A little burnout factor there. So spread the word, and anyone listening, spread the word too. Anyway, that's probably it for me on this round here in Northeast Bellevue. Let me turn it back to Dave, KD7ZYM, our net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society.
This is Dave, KD7ZYM. I was going to say for Bob, the brightness on his display on my computer, I've got a couple of buttons that you can increase or decrease the brightness on the video level. I don't know if you've got that on yours or not, but you might explore that. But as far as fast food goes, I was at Costco yesterday, and their $1.50 hot dog is still $1.50 with a drink. So that's holding true, and their pizza is still at the same price. And it's like $10 for a whole pizza, or $1.75 for a piece. So at least they're holding up at the same fast food prices they've always had. So more and more counts for Costco. Well, that's about it from here in Lake City, so I'm going to move it back up to Ron, KD7QKU.
Okay, KD7QKU here again. That makes me think of the time Dave invited me over, and I went over and he had a coupon for, well, I think it was a Big Mac. You get 2 for the price of 1 or something. So he said, "You want to go try them?" Sure. So we went over to McDonald's. And they were the lousiest things we ever got. I don't know if they did it purposely or if that's just the way they were, but if that was a promotional thing and it was supposed to make us want to come back and have a Big Mac, it wasn't. If I remember right, we actually went across the street to some other place and got something else to kind of go along with it. It was not a very good hamburger. So over here, we had a Kentucky Fried Chicken that went out of business. Over in Bellevue, there was a great Kentucky Fried Chicken. You could always get 2 pieces there at Factoria for $10 while we lived there, or $10.95, something like that. And that was fantastic. Every now and then, you know, like Jim says, when we didn't want to cook, well, we'd run down and get a bucket of chicken and then, you know, have whatever we had at home with it, and it worked out great. Here we have a Burger King, which is drive-through only, no sit-down. It's just a drive-through only, and that's the way I guess it had always been. And they really have trouble with help. Gee, Merry Christmas. For a while, they couldn't even open because they didn't have enough people. And, you know, I mean, it's just a drive-through. They just need, you know, somebody to answer the speaker and cook, and, you know, they only need 3 or 4 people, but they had trouble getting them and keeping them or something. I don't know about now. They've had one or two people doing it that were pretty good, and then I never see them again. So I don't know. And I don't go down there a lot, but we do go down there occasionally. They used, they had specials. Whenever they had the specials, I think it was, I don't remember what they were now, but we'd go down and get two big, two Burger Kings. The big one. They had a special for quite a while, and the little ones you get two for the price of one or something. But the big one is the one I like their dressing and their tomato and lettuce and stuff is good. So let's see what else. I haven't done much the last few days. Been beautiful. I went for 2 walks today. Trying to increase my exercise a little bit. I put on quite a bit of weight this winter. I need to get rid of it. So anyway, that's my goal for a while here. Is walk a couple times a day and see if I can reduce my weight. So I guess that's it for now. Back to net, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU. Let's go to Bob, K9PQ.
Okay, well, yeah, I can sure tell you about the kitty story with Sparky as far as feeding. Yeah, you know how sometimes I'm up all night, and she has taken to an hour or two before breakfast time complaining bitterly and loudly that she's hungry and she needs something. And so it didn't happen last night, thank goodness. I was able to sleep through the night, but yeah, I hope that doesn't become a habit. And also she just as I was getting ready to set up here, I made some tea and I had a timer to let me know when to take the tea bags out. And I was busy here, so I didn't go get the timer right away. And by the time I went out there, she looked back at me like, "Yeah, are you going to take care of that?" In the way that cats can do, they can just let you know. As for Shalom, I did a quick Google search, and all I found was something that showed the origin and translation into different languages, and they had the translation into French being Solomon. So I don't know what this lady, how her name is spelled, if it's spelled like the Hebrew Shalom or not, but and the same thing in English, it's Solomon with a S-O, where in French it's S-A, but I never had known that before. Apparently King Solomon was, that stood for peace, and has been translated, was probably Shalom. I'd have to go look that up, but that's how it sounds to me. Anyway, I guess that's it for now. Oh, and I did, Dave, I did know about the brightness. The brightness is turned up all the way on my monitor. I think something's wrong. I'm hoping the old trick of turning the computer off and back on again will take care of it. We'll see. Okay, back to net, K9PQ.
PQ, get an idea in here again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, NAT, on the 08 machine again. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Let's go to Jim, N7QO in Covington.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, Jim, thanks for mentioning that you're the visiting food server. I did not remember that. I guess that makes sense, actually, rather than them sending the cat to you. If the cat would destroy your furniture or something, that they might not get their cat back. So yeah, you've been accepted as unnecessary evil. Ron, thanks for mentioning about drive-through fast food places. Now that you mention that, yeah, a couple of the places here were exclusively doing drive-through during the pandemic. One of the things we were told is their kitchen, their dining area was closed because of lack of staff, not enough people to keep the place open, but I don't know. They certainly had no difficulty finding cars to go through and pick up food. It was a local Jack in the Box and a local Arby's. They were doing drive-through only for, I don't know, at least a couple of years. And unfortunately that Arby's has since closed as well. So we've been losing things around here. Not exactly sure why. I would think there's enough people to spread the wealth around, but that's what's been happening. Bob, I had a monitor or a laptop. Actually, I had two old laptops, and whenever I had to plug in an external monitor, there was a button I'd have to push which would select between the internal monitor or the external monitor. Just curious if maybe you have a button like that on there. I hope the monitor did not bite the dust, but it's definitely, you've got a good idea there about just rebooting, maybe even unplugging the thing and removing the battery or something and starting anew if you can. But I just thought I'd throw that out there because I definitely had a couple of older laptops that were like that. Back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
QO, let's go to James. WU7N. What's the U?
Dave, this is James, WU7N, and I say you have Costco pretty much correct. I think Costco is really trying hard to hold their food court prices, at least on some items. One thing I noticed, the hot dog is sacred, so, I mean, that's just going to be their lost leader forever, although I'm still waiting for the hot dog to become smaller and smaller. The last person who ordered a Big Mac here in Bellevue told me that it was like a hockey puck-sized Big Mac. She said the physical size of the Big Mac had just shrunk down to nothing. It was a really tiny, it was like a slider. And she said this is funny because she does marketing and such, and she remembers when McDonald's experimented 10, 15 years ago with something called a mini Mac or something, where, you know, like they were getting a lot of heat for the very large amount of fat levels in a lot of their foods. And a Big Mac, of course, is just loaded with fat. That's why it tastes so good. But so they had this mini Mac, and she said they must have just, you know, drawn up the dies or something, saved them or something, because now that's a normal-sized Big Mac, is what used to be called their little mini Mac. But Costco now does require you to flash your card to a little robotic reader on the automated terminals before it'll take your order. And so they are now requiring you to be a member, whereas in the past I know all kinds of people that eat at Costco and they would not be members at Costco. And now, at least in Issaquah, it's Issaquah, the corporate headquarters of Costco, they're experimenting where you have to have your card laser red just to get in the door. It laser reads, and then a big giant screen is in front of the door greeter person, and your picture pops up on there. And if you don't look like the card, they say, "Excuse me, sir, you've got to go get a membership to shop here." And I haven't tried the manual food court, so I don't know if you just have to flash your card before they'll talk to you, or how they handle that. But somehow they check to make sure you're a member before you can buy food now. You're right. At least the Costco's I go to, the pizza is still by the slice. I think they're something like trying to hold it at $2 or something in that ballpark. Sounds like they're a little cheaper maybe over in Seattle. But I did notice that the cookie index, which is my new economic indicator, because before COVID, a PCC Whole Foods cookie was 95 cents, and now it's $1.50. But Costco introduced cookies, which they have not sold before, and the same little cookie about this big is $2.50. So I don't know who buys their cookies. I can't imagine that's a big mover for that much money. And also, their Caesar salads, though, for what you get a huge Caesar salad. I think it's $6 or $7. Whereas I noticed the same type of salad over at Trader Joe's is about the same price, but about 1/3 the size. So that and the toothpaste shrinkage, which I reported to you last time, I think I bought some Costco, like they sell you 5 toothpastes at once, and it was on sale. I thought, oh, good deal. I get them home, and each tube has 2 ounces less in it than the old tubes, pre-COVID tubes. If this inflation and shrinkflation continues on, I'm going to have to get a job. I mean, even my vast holdings of wealth aren't going to make it another 30 years if we would keep doing this. Either that or we'll all have to just physically get a lot smaller, so we'll all be filled up on very, very tiny hamburgers. I'm not sure which. So with those thoughts, let me turn it back to Dave, our net control at KD7ZYM. This is WU7N.
WU7N, thanks for that. And it's time for an ID again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. Again, I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Well, I don't know. I don't have much else to add to what's happening on the net this evening, so I'm going to pass it back up to Ron, KD7QKU.
KD7QKU here again. Well, we have a cat and she's getting old. Joanna and the cat have their own language. Joanne makes little noises, the cat makes little noises. Our cat is still on standard time. She didn't switch over to daylight time. So in the morning, I don't know, sometimes it could be 4:30, 5 o'clock. She sleeps on the foot of the bed, but I think she's on the bed when she does it. She lets out this meow, meow, 2 or 3 times, and that's the sound for my wife to get up and go to the kitchen and give her some food. And it's also the time to wake me up. I really don't like to get woke up that early because then I have trouble going back to sleep. Then after Joanne's back in bed and the cat, I guess, filled up when on eating, she comes back in. We have a little stool. She's getting old now, so it's kind of hard for her to get up on the bed, but she hops up on the little stool and then hops up on the bed. Then she climbs up on top of Joanne, or she comes in the bedroom and makes some noise, and Joanne makes little grunting sounds, and then she hops up on the bed, climbs up on top of Joanne, and then stares in her face. Joanne. It's like, I don't know, she thinks Joanne. But then when we're in here and we're like watching movies and stuff, she'll be asleep someplace. And she comes into this room and she walks in and she just gives Joanne the evil eye. She just stands there and just stares at her. And Joanne knows that means that you gotta go feed her. So then Joanne gets up and goes and feeds her. Sometimes if Joanne isn't here, Joanne's maybe in the office or something, and Lily doesn't know where she's at. She comes in here and gives me the evil eye, and then I give her the evil eye right back. I usually don't go feed her, so it doesn't work with me. She usually has food in her dish. That's the problem, I think. Joanne's always giving her food. I think we throw out as much food as the cat eats, but anyway. The cat seems to think she has to have fresh food all the time. Yeah, well, they're a lot of enjoyment and entertainment, so she's getting old. I don't know. I think we've had her 13 or 14 years, and she was, we don't know. She's probably 3 years older, just someone we got her. I don't know how old she is. We take her to the vet every Monday morning, and she gets fluid under the skin, subcutaneous fluid. I don't know how many ounces they put in her, so that kind of keeps her going. Bring her home. We give her a pill. She gets this, I guess this I don't know what it is. It's a little white pill. She has a pill every other day, and that keeps her going. So anyway, she's doing pretty good, really, for her age. All right, enough of that. Back to net, KD7QKU.
K9PQ.
Well, I was just thinking about the Costco hot dog. I didn't have time to look it up, but I have talked with my brother about it. He works at Costco, and he was mentioning how, and I think most people know this, that, you know, that's kind of, they're famous for it not being, you know, it being the same price it was when they first opened Costco. And I think for the same reason, James, you're not going to see them change the hot dog itself, make the hot dog smaller, because it's a point of pride with them, you know, and it's very much a lost leader too, of course, but it's just kind of one of those things that when the guy who started Costco, this is what he wanted to do, and that's what they did. I think the pizza is the same. I don't know if it's the same as when they started, but I will look that up and find out, because now I'm really curious. And also I'm curious about what you're saying about the food court and having to read your card. I think, if I remember right, Issaquah, maybe the food court is outside. If it is, it might be the only one that's outside, because all the food courts I have gone to that I remember have been inside the store, so you'd have to get in first. But that's interesting about the card scanner that they have at the store. Yeah, I always just flash my card to the person, like everybody, right? That's what everybody else does, and it doesn't surprise me that they are wanting to crack down on it. They probably want to, you know, get that extra revenue. You know, they only want actual members coming in and not, you know, somebody loaning their card to somebody else to use. So anyway, that's that. I think, oh, the economic indicator, I did have that too. For years now, my economic indicator, which I have not kept up with lately, but for years it has been local repair shop rate. So car repair, privately owned, you know, like the gas station, that sort of thing, and their shop rate, because it's, to me, it's kind of a perfect indicator, because they're, as much as people think they're getting gouged, I mean, these people do have to compete with each other, so the prices are probably as good as they can give you, and they're all based on labor, on skilled labor, so I think it's a really good, a much better indicator than, like, you know, buying a TV made in China that you can still get for $500 that's, you know, 4K or something like that, or even less than that. I think you mentioned like $150 or something, James, didn't you? You know, to me that's not a very good indicator of the actual inflation of the economy. So anyway, that's my 2 cents there, no pun intended. I'll send it back, K9PQ.
K9PQ, thanks for that. Let's go to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, Jim, you're talking about these mini Macs, and I will bet that a lot of the burgers shrank a little bit, but I don't know, that's a little disturbing. I can't help but wonder, maybe something went wrong in the delivery of a shipment of meat patties or something. Maybe McDonald's got the shipment of burgers, which was supposed to be delivered to White Castle. I don't know. If the meat needs to at least fill up the bun, that's kind of the way I look at it. If it doesn't, something's not right. Costco, yeah, hot dogs. You know, they used to have these sandwiches with sausage, and it seems like they had hot dogs at the same time. I was never all that much of a hot dog aficionado, but I like their sausage, and they discontinued them a year or 2 or 3 ago. Am I the only one that misses the sausage? Yeah, I heard as well about having to show ID to go to the food court now, and don't know exactly if my local one is doing that or not. I haven't had a chance to go there yet. Well, I've been to Costco, but I hadn't tried to stop by the food court. And Ron, it sounds to me like your cat has Joanne trained. It's almost like a baby or something. Feed me, mommy, feed me. That's kind of a neat story, but I know it's if you're trying to sleep, it's not a good idea. It would be more considerate of the kitty cat if they waited until you woke up. I used to have a cat once upon a time, and my wife would pretty much consistently get up at a regular time. But I don't remember what happened one day. If we were somewhere and got home late in the night, and so the next morning neither of us had to work, so we just kind of slept in, and we had an outdoor cat, and we're lying in bed, which the cat was outside the front door, and that little guy was meowing so loudly it woke us both up. We're like, what is going on? And he's just saying, feed me now, please. I missed the little guy. He died, I don't know, 20-some years ago, 30 years ago maybe. Anyway, back to you, Dave, N7QO.
QO, let's go to James, WU7N.
Question I had for Dave. I bought about a week ago 2 of the famous Costco chickens, and it said 3 pounds, but it was no longer in the plastic tray with the little dome clear plastic lid. The chicken was labeled 3 pounds, but it was in like a little purse plastic sack. And I don't know how long this is going to last, because I just noticed one man ahead of me picked one up and it was leaking. It was dripping all its juice out of the punctured sack. And that creates a little problem because, I said, watch it's leaking. He goes, oh yeah, he put it back, but that greasy juice was getting all over the shelf, so it was going to contaminate all the bottoms of these little sacks. And that's the whole point of having that environmentally unsound little plastic tray, was to keep all the delicious chicken juice inside of the container and not have it coat your trunk, or worse yet, I can't imagine if someone puts one of those on the seat of their car. I would hope you would not do that. But I left a comment at the service desk saying, I saw that, so I got a box, and always will now. I get a box for my chicken to put in there. I said, and that protects the car from greasy accidents. But I said, man, that I can't imagine how you've got to at least warn people to have a pile of boxes out there or something for the chickens. Book for Christmas, my niece gave it to me. It's all about trivia facts about Costco, and you can see that. I think that came through. It's titled, Jim, in case you didn't catch it on the analog side, "The Joy of Costco: A Treasure Hunt from A to Z." And they have a whole couple of pages here on Costco hot dogs, and this is what I found interesting. It says, which food court sells the most hot dogs? A Costco warehouse in Shinmisato, Japan, and they sold 64,512 hot dogs and soda combinations, followed by Iwilei, Hawaii, with 55,000 combos. And so the warehouse average in the U.S. is 13,500 during that same 2-week period. So it looks like the Japanese and the Hawaiians are the king of consuming Costco hot dogs. 2 warehouses, the one in Japan and the one in Hawaii, are always in the top 10 for global Costco hot dog soda combination consumption. So other interesting facts here. There's one about Iceland that when Richard's on, I'll share that one. It is absolutely amazing. Well, anyway, it looks like we got about 10 more minutes left, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this back to Dave, our net control for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. But first, I'm going to ask for visitors. We welcome anybody to our net. It happens at 8 p.m. Pacific Time, USA, on Wednesday evenings, and Saturday evenings we use the PL tone of 103.5 just for this 1 hour net on those 2 days of the week. And we welcome anybody just to check in and check out or join the conversation. Are there any visitors out there? So let me turn back to Dave, KD7ZYM.
ZYM. I'm thinking of those Costco hot dogs in Japan and Hawaii. Both of their economics are through the roof for fast food. So probably it's a good deal to go to Costco from those two countries to get a quick, inexpensive lunch. And for animals, oh my gosh, I had a Cocker Spaniel for many years. And in the morning, when he decided he wanted to go out, he'd jump up on the bed and start licking my face to let me know, hey, I want out. And so I'd kind of get up, kind of groggy, and let him out the front door. And he'd go out into the yard and, I don't know, bark and bark and bark. I don't know what he was chasing, shadows or something in the yard. Then he'd come up and then paw at the door, time to come in. So he was checking out the yard all the time. So, but he never did the lick the face for food. He was always hungry. So for him it was easy to please. Just put out another 4 or 5 pieces of dog food biscuits, and he was always happy. But that's my time together with that dog. So that's it. This is Dave, KD7ZYM. Got 10 minutes left in the net, so let's go to Ron, KD7QKU.
7QKU. Well, there's a book author by the name of Patrick McManus. He grew up, I guess, in Idaho and went to school and stuff over in Spokane. And he's a humorous outdoor writer. And one of his stories was about a guy who brought this little bear cub home to his wife. And they fed him and raised him. And anyway, he got to be big, and he started demanding more and more food. And so he was bigger than they were. He was bigger than anything around there, and so they had to buy him his own refrigerator, and he learned how to open the refrigerator and help himself. Well, then he went upstairs and decided to hibernate. It was called The Bear in the Attic or something, the name of the book possibly. So I'm just, kind of giving a short synopsis. So then he decided to go up and hibernate, and so they decided to sell the house. And to get away from the bear, because they didn't know what to do with him. I mean, he was almost getting violent because they weren't feeding him enough. So they sold the house, and they sold it to someone that they disliked. And then the guy moved in, I guess, and then when spring come, the guy kind of disappeared. And they never did inquire what happened to him. So anyway, I think the name of this book or the story was Bear in the Attic. I'll have to look. I got it around here someplace. So anyway, that's it over here in in Tacoma. So back to that, KD7QKU.
QKU. Let's go to Bob, K9PQ.
Okay, well, Dave, you talked about your Cocker Spaniel that was always hungry. Remind me of something. I got some slug bait, and it was some that was supposed to be safer. It's not like a serious poison. What it is, it's a mineral that it will kill pets if they eat way too much of it. But it's not like if they just get a taste of it that's a problem. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll check it out and I'll watch Sparky and make sure she's not eating it, because it doesn't smell like food. It's not food. It's just a mineral. But they warned. I also did some research just to make sure, find out what what experts had to say, and they said one of them said that cats usually it's not a problem usually for cats, but with dogs it's different because dogs are indiscriminate eaters. they will just, if there's something there that looks interesting to them, they'll just eat it. They'll put it in their mouth and see if it's something they like, and they may just eat it anyway, even if it doesn't taste like food. So yeah. And then the other thing with the Cocker Spaniel is we had a cockapoo growing up, and she would bark. She would bark anytime anyone came to the front door, anytime someone was in the yard. We never could break her of that. But once the person was let in, it was fine. But when they knocked on the door and rang the doorbell, oh man, it was bark, 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 just until we opened the door, and then it was fine. Then she's like, okay, this person is acceptable. So, well, I think that's probably going to be my 73, so I'll send it back, K9PQ.
K9PQ, thanks for joining. Let's go on down the list to Jim in 7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Well, Jim, thank you for mentioning the title of that book. I was actually able to read the title on the 1.2, but I still do have quite a bit of snow. I may have been able to read a little bit more than the title, but I don't know. It would have needed to have been held up a little bit longer for me to try to read anything else on there. But thank you for mentioning that. And yeah, dogs, indiscriminate eaters. One of my neighbors, he actually moved away about a year ago, moved to Tucson. He had a couple of hunting dogs, German Shorthairs, and one of them, a couple years ago, ate a glove that he had. I don't know why the dog thought that might be yummy, but the dog was having some sort of distress, and my neighbor took it to a vet and said, hey, this is what's going on. The dog can't eat anything, and he's like not really choking, but he was having some sort of problems. I don't remember anymore, but the vet did an x-ray and said, well, there's something there, and they were able to retrieve a glove that this poor dog ate. But that dog has since died. I don't, and it wasn't too long after that. I'm not sure anymore if it was from the glove or if it was from something else. But indiscriminate eaters is a good description. Oh well. Going to be warm this week. So if anyone has air conditioners, you might want to check them out, make sure that they're still working and that nothing built a nest in the air conditioning units. Might have only 2 or 3 days where you need the air, but you might appreciate some time if you have an air conditioning unit. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
Thanks for that. Let's go on to James, WW7N.
Jim, naturally, I want to know how the man fingered the dog as the one who ate the glove. Get it? Fingered the... No, well, that was bad. Well, the other thing I read today of interest is that apparently there's one theory that a lot of plants develop these very pungent flavors or pungent attributes to discourage things from eating them, like, onions and peppers and other things like that are very pungent. And all I can say is, jokes on you, plant. I'm really into a lot of that. So, I'm not sure that that didn't but have the exact opposite effect of what they were looking for there. But I guess it's a good effort, But I'd say offhand that when it comes to eating things, it's humans 1, plants 0 on that one. Yeah, this is an interesting book. It's The Joy of Costco, A Treasure Hunt from A to Z by David and Susan Schwartz. It's, you know, it's almost like a giant comic book, really, but just loaded with fascinating facts. And it looks like, you know, Costco is surviving as a brick and mortar and in at least trying to do a little bit of the online world, but very cautious and certainly not going the same model as Walmart or certainly not Amazon. But it's interesting. It is very much convenience oriented, because I look at some of their stuff online and say, well, yeah, I could order that, but wait a minute, it's more expensive online than if I just go drive down the street and buy it out of the store sometimes. Because, you know, they charge shipping, and sometimes it's just priced higher. So I guess it's maybe convenience, reliability, quality control. I could see that if you had an office, mid-size or larger office, using the Costco office supplies would be great, because you're getting a very consistent product. And where I've experimented around with my printers and papers, I'm desperately in need. Like, I don't lose, you know, millions of dollars if the printer doesn't work. So I can experiment around, and I've gotten some good deals on stuff, but I've gotten stung a few times too. The watch, you bought a Costco watch and it didn't work, is that what you're saying? Oh, whoa, okay, it's 9 o'clock. I guess it's time to wrap it up. I'll let Dave do that. KD7ZYM.
U7N, thanks for that. And it's time to terminate the net. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. We'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 for our voice transmissions for our nets held on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So until next Saturday at 8 o'clock, this is Dave, KD7ZYM, signing off the net. Good evening all.